Please tell me your name.
Maybe Smith.
Keep your hands above your waist. Slide over, slide over. Anything gonna poke, prod me, prick me?
Yep. 1, 2, 3.
What caliber?
Glock 9?
It's the caliber's 40.
Last time he didn't have a Glock 9 either. What caliber?
You gotta change his
40.
What model?
None of them are Glock 9s?
You want to talk to me where you got these guns from? No, because I want to get guns off the street. So if you want to talk to me about who's supplying you these guns, we can have a good conversation.
I ain't gonna lie, you know it.
Florida's been wild these past 10 years, no doubt about it. The state gave us some of the biggest names in rap, but behind the fame, it's got deep struggles. Poverty, crime, and straight-up chaos that fuel the music and the lifestyle. Florida stays ranking high in violence, and lately, the law's been cracking down hard on rappers who are really living that life. Rappers like Pooh Shiesty and Polo G both got slapped with charges after shows in Miami, and YFN Lucci caught a massive gang indictment that even connects back to Florida Cruise. But all of that seems small compared to what's going down in Orlando. A full-blown street war between the AFNF and 438 gangs that's turned deadly. Rapper Glock 9 and several people tied to that conflict were just hit with major Florida state RICO charges. We're talking murders, extortion, racketeering, and more. This isn't just street beef anymore. This is a full criminal case with the state coming down heavy. Here's the rundown on everything that's gone down so far. Glock 9, born and raised in Orlando, made a name for himself with bangers like 10% and 223s. His come up wasn't easy. He was raised by a single mom while his dad spent time in and out of prison. Even as a kid, Glock 9 was known for getting into trouble, and that energy carried on when the fame hit.
Jaquavius Smith, better known as Glock 9, just him himself has been arrested for 52 felonies. So we're talking about dangerous criminal.
He dropped his first track on SoundCloud back in 2017 under the name YBJK before switching it up to Glock 9. A nod to both the gun and Orlando's Channel 9 News, where he's been featured more than once. Soon, he started dropping his videos exclusively on World Star Hip Hop, including his breakout track, JLZ Blues, which really put him on the map. That track blew up fast, almost 2 million views in just a few months. Glock 9's buzz was insane. Right after that, he dropped his debut mixtape Bloodshell's Revenge in July 2018, and just days later, he locked in a $2 million deal with Cash Money Records. People thought he was next up, the hottest new artist straight out of Florida. But as his fame skyrocketed, so did the chaos behind the scenes. While his music was going viral, Glock 9 was wrapped up in a violent feud with another Orlando rapper, Hot Boy. What started as friendly competition turned into something way darker. The tension between their crews quickly exploded into real violence, with multiple shootings and murders that would end up changing both of their lives forever. Glock 9 and Hot Boy actually started out as friends, but when Glock was blowing up, Hot Boy was still locked up, plotting his own rise. When he got out, he was hungry to take over Orlando's rap scene, and he claims Glock couldn't handle the pressure. According to Hot Boy, Glock started hating, and that jealousy turned the city upside down. But soon it wasn't just about music anymore. Bodies started dropping, and things got deadly fast. Glock 9's crew, known as AFNF, All Family No Friends, went to war with Hot Boy's 438 gang, and their beef tore through Orlando like a storm. The violence didn't just hit those involved, it spilled into the streets, leaving innocent people caught in the crossfire. Tragedy struck hard when lives were lost, including a high school football player, a 14-year-old, and even a 3-year-old child who became victims of a war that went way too far. Things got so wild that local news stations couldn't ignore it anymore.
Smith, who faces an attempted murder charge for a separate drive-by shooting, denied any involvement in a gang during our phone call this week.
I feel like they just saying I'm a leader, like they trying to say I'm a gang leader, but I'm not no gang leader. I'm 20 years old. All these wrong behind me, all these people who they trying to say I'm leading is older than me.
AFNF is an LLC that you created for your rap group?
Yeah, it's like a label. It's like my bank. When I get paid through YouTube and all that stuff, my bank that's when it come under AFNF LLC.
Orlando's streets were heating up, and soon reporters were breaking down every detail of the AFNF versus 438 war on live TV. Authorities even confirmed that the FBI had its eyes on both gangs, calling them some of the most dangerous groups in the entire city. So when Glock 9 got hit with that massive Florida RICO charge in June 2021, it shocked fans. But law enforcement saw it coming a mile away. And Glock 9 wasn't the only one going down. Several people tied to this street war, including 438 members and affiliates from another rival crew called No Cut 'Em Kill 'Em, also ended up in the indictment. The whole situation turned into a massive crackdown that felt like something straight out of a crime movie. Glock 9's facing serious heat, racketeering and conspiracy to commit racketeering under Florida's RICO Act. That's no light charge. RICO laws were first created to take down mob bosses, holding them accountable for crimes their people carried out under their orders. It covers everything from murders and assaults to drug trafficking, extortion, and illegal gambling. Basically, anything that keeps criminal organizations running. The crazy part? These laws were originally meant for the mafia, but lately, they've been turning toward rap crews and street gangs, especially when someone famous is involved. Big names like Bobby Shmurda, Casanova, and YFN Lucci have all faced RICO cases after authorities claimed they were the shot callers behind violent operations connected to their circles. That's the same kind of situation Glock 9's in right now. Prosecutors say even if he didn't pull the trigger or move the drugs himself, he can still be held responsible if they believe his crew did it to boost their reputation or bankroll the group. Glock 9's only bit of luck is that the feds haven't taken over the case yet. It's still at the state level, which might give him a small edge. But let's be real. He's still staring down a stack of serious charges, and that's no easy fight. Plus, the conspiracy part means they don't even have to prove he personally committed a crime, just that he was part of the plan. That's what makes RICO cases so dangerous. Now, prosecutors don't even need to prove Glock 9 pulled the trigger. They just have to show he played a part in the gang lifestyle that sparked the crimes. That's the real trap with these RICO cases. When you stack that on top of the other charges he's already facing, it's clear he's gonna need top-tier, expensive lawyers if he wants any shot at avoiding major prison time.
I went to jail, right? So get a little chance to shine, right? So now when I get out, I take back over. I take back over when I get out. Now they hate me for that? What? What?
The official paperwork for the case still hasn't been released publicly, but it's been confirmed that Glock 9 is one of 10 men charged in this massive takedown. Reports say the court documents stack up to over 700 pages of evidence, and to make things worse, some of the suspects are still on the run. This case is deep, the kind of thing that could take years to fully unfold. Interestingly, Hot Boy wasn't arrested in this round of indictments, but his close friend and right-hand man, Vanshawn Sands, wasn't so lucky. He got caught up and charged before things got even bigger. Before Glock 9 was hit with the RICO case, he was already out on bond. And not for something small. He was facing 5 counts of attempted murder after allegedly shooting up the home of another Orlando rapper, Cut Reese, who also happened to be Glock's blood cousin. According to reports, Glock and his associate Ballpark pulled up to Reese's house and opened fire, a move that could have ended tragically. Reese wasn't home that night, but 5 of his family members were inside, and they barely escaped getting shot. One of them was Reese's sister, who also happens to be Ballpark's half-sister and Glock 9's cousin. A messy family web that turned the whole situation into straight madness. She later told police that her cousin Glock was jealous of Reese's rising fame in Orlando's rap scene and didn't want anyone else shining brighter than him.
Smith was taken into custody. A search warrant was done on his house. We found 13 sears. Those are mechanisms which will convert a regular handgun or rifle into an automatic weapon. And so I don't have to tell you, if you're able to fire 70 or 8 bullets at a target, the likelihood of innocent people getting caught up in that gunfire dramatically increases. And that's why this operation commenced.
She said she was looking out the window when Glock and Ballpark jumped out of a car with guns in hand, and she's absolutely sure they were the ones who sprayed the house. The whole thing sounded like something out of a movie, except this time it was real life, and family ties were being shattered by street rivalry. After the shooting, things got even messier. Glock 9 turned around and accused Cut Reese of snitching, but it turns out he didn't even need to. The law was already on his tail. In early 2021, a new Florida state attorney stepped into office for the Orlando area, and her first big move was taking down the AFNF and 438 gangs once and for all. She wasted no time. Within weeks, she hit Glock 9 with 5 counts of second-degree attempted murder with a firearm. Each of those counts carries a mandatory minimum of 20 years if convicted. That's over 100 years total just on those charges alone. At the same time, prosecutors were building an even bigger case, working to officially label AFNF as a criminal street gang, with Glock 9 named as its leader. Investigators had likely been stacking evidence for years, but this was the turning point that kicked off the RICO wave that would shake Orlando's entire rap scene. But Glock 9 wasn't the only one getting caught in the storm. His close associate Ballpark also ended up tangled in the same indictment. And what made it worse? His own half-sister allegedly gave statements that helped tie him to the case. Talk about betrayal. 2 other Orlando rappers got pulled into the mix too, Draco Syke and Lil Wavy. Draco, who was Cut Reese's brother, was rumored to be part of the 3,300 gang, also known on the streets as No Cut 'em Kill 'em or KKK, one of the most feared groups in the city. Both Draco and Lil Wavy were charged with using electronic communications to promote gang activity, a move prosecutors say helped spread and organize the violence tied to the case. Lil Wavy was already out on bond for a whole different mess, an aggravated assault with a firearm charge from a wild scene at a doctor's office of all places. Reports say he and another man threatened to kill 2 of their rivals right in front of their mothers. That's how deep the tension had gotten. Nowhere was off limits, not even a waiting room. The streets of Orlando were turning into a real-life war zone, and every move these rappers made was being watched closely by the feds and state authorities. It all went down in the waiting room of the Colonial Medical Center, where Lil Wavy and another man named MG ran into 2 rivals they had serious beef with. Things escalated instantly. Witnesses say MG pulled out a Glock, and both men started threatening to kill their enemies, all while one of the victim's mothers was standing just a few feet away. It was broad daylight chaos in a doctor's office, completely reckless. As soon as the 2 men left, the terrified mother called the police and told them everything that had just gone down. But instead of laying low, Lil Wavy made things worse. He went online and posted a video about the altercation, talking wild and saying disrespectful things toward his rivals. That video became evidence real quick. The situation got even darker when it came out that 3 Block, a man murdered in a separate shooting allegedly committed by the KKK gang, short for No Cut 'em Kill 'em, was actually the brother and son of the same people Wavy had just threatened. That connection made the whole thing explode even further. Soon after, Lil Wavy was arrested for aggravated assault, and on top of that, hit with another charge, using electronic communications to promote gang activity, all because of the video he posted mocking his rivals while he was already out on bond. That move backfired hard. Both Lil Wavy and Draco Syke ended up deeper in the mess, officially getting wrapped up in the RICO indictment and slapped with even more charges. The Orlando rap scene was spinning out of control, and the authorities were now connecting every shooting, video, and post into one giant web of criminal activity. Another big name pulled into this storm was 438's own shooter, Van Sean Sands. He'd already made headlines before. He was previously arrested in a drive-by shooting that left AFNF member Jeremiah Robinson dead, but Sands managed to beat that case after showing evidence that it was self-defense and walked free, for the moment at least. Then, things turned tragic again.
So Cash Money Records rapper Jaquavius Smith, better known as Glock 9, has reportedly been sentenced in his federal firearms case. According to Click Orlando, the known Orlando area gang member was sentenced to more than 7 years in a federal prison after pleading guilty to 3 weapon charges.
On April 14, 2020, Demetrius Cox, an AFNF affiliate, shot and killed a man named Wolf Luma at a house party. Luma wasn't even gang affiliated. He was just friends with Hot Boy, but the streets still linked his death to the ongoing feud between the 2 crews. Cox was quickly arrested and charged with Luma's murder, but the violence didn't stop there. Less than 2 weeks later, AFNF allegedly struck again. On April 25th, shots rang out at Luma's vigil, leaving a high school football player named Dexter Rent and 3 others wounded. Orlando was on fire. Innocent people were getting caught in the crossfire of a street war that had already gone way too far. Dexter Rent's death hit the city hard. The young athlete was never part of any gang, just a friend showing love at Wolf Luma's vigil when tragedy struck. His killing sent shockwaves through Orlando, but AFNF still wasn't done. The streets were boiling over. And next on their radar was none other than Van Sean Sands, one of the most respected and feared members of 438. On July 7th, 2020, AFNF members allegedly orchestrated a drive-by shooting at a house where Sands was staying. But instead of hiding or running for cover, Sands decided to stand his ground. He grabbed an AR pistol and fired back. Bullets flew both ways in a wild gun battle that could have wiped out everyone nearby. During the shootout, one of the AFNF passengers was hit, later identified as Jeremiah Robinson, also known as AFNF Baby Joker. It was chaos from start to finish. About a month after the shootout, police moved in to arrest Sands, but the situation spiraled out of control and left another man dead. Even though Sands had acted in self-defense during the drive-by, he was already a convicted felon, meaning he wasn't legally allowed to even hold a gun. And that technicality would come back to haunt him. On August 7th, officers launched a high-risk operation to bring Sands into custody. They caught him and 3 of his friends in a mall parking lot, surrounding them fast. Sands immediately surrendered without a fight, but one of his friends, Sellers Melvin, panicked and tried to run. Tragically, Melvin had nothing to do with the earlier shooting, but during his escape, an officer shot him and he died on the scene. The incident caused massive outrage across the city. People were furious, calling it another case of police brutality, especially since Sands had already surrendered peacefully. It was one of those moments that showed just how tense things had become. The cops, the gangs, and even innocent people were all caught in a storm of violence and fear. In the end, Sands was able to prove the drive-by shooting was self-defense, but it didn't save him from facing the gun possession charge, since the law didn't care why he had the weapon, just that he did. Another tragedy stacked on top of an already deadly feud that seemed to have no end in sight.
Just within the last couple of minutes, I've confirmed with Orlando police that shots were fired here at the mall at Millennia. They were not fired by Orlando police officers, and the good news is nobody was injured in all this, but I can tell you, driving in, every entrance to the mall at Millennia right now is locked down, sealed down. Nobody is getting inside.
Another name listed in the massive RICO indictment was Joshua Holder, a known 438 affiliate accused of being the getaway driver in an attempted hit on Glock 9 that went down right at the mall at Millennia in October 2020. The 438 crew allegedly decided to go after the top dog of AFNF, trying to take him out in broad daylight at one of the busiest malls in Orlando. According to reports, Holder circled the parking lot in a white BMW for about 15 minutes, searching for their target. Once he spotted Glock 9, he parked the car and his passengers headed inside to handle business. Moments later, gunfire erupted. Multiple shots were fired at Glock 9 before the shooters ran back to the car and sped away from the scene. It was reckless, dangerous, and pure chaos, right in the middle of a shopping mall packed with families. Not long after, Holder and 2 other suspects were arrested and hit with attempted murder charges for the brazen attack. The situation showed just how far both sides were willing to go. Nobody cared about witnesses, cameras, or even the time of day anymore. With broad daylight shootings, innocent people getting hit, and families forced to hide in closets to stay safe, it's no surprise that the cops finally decided to crack down hard on everyone tied to the AFNF 438 feud. The city had reached its breaking point, and even though both sides had taken heavy losses, the violence just wouldn't stop. Meanwhile, Glock 9 tried to defend himself in the media, saying the way prosecutors painted him was totally wrong. He claimed he wasn't the mastermind behind any gang. In fact, he said most of the people they accused him of leading were older than him. According to Glock, AFNF isn't even a gang, just a brand and record label representing his music and lifestyle. But the problem? The rapper's long list of prior charges and his status as the most famous face of AFNF make it hard for anyone, especially a judge or jury, to see it that way. Whether he likes it or not, the streets, the headlines, and the authorities all have him marked as the center of one of Orlando's most dangerous wars. Even with all the chaos tearing through Orlando, Hot Boy has managed to stay clear of most of the drama. Once his music started taking off, he made the smart move, leaving the city before things got too real. While his 438 crew kept things heated in the streets, Hot Boy focused on the bag, dropping tracks with major names like Future and Lil Baby. He's in a perfect position to level up in the rap game, but only if he can keep his distance from the indictments and the street mess that's still haunting his city. Meanwhile, things are looking rough for Glock 9. He's already staring down over 100 years in prison for multiple attempted murder charges, and prosecutors claim they've got eyewitnesses and a solid motive. Now, on top of all that, he's facing a Florida RICO charge that alone carries up to 30 more years if he's found guilty. That's a mountain of time that could end his career before he ever gets another chance to shine. Even if Glock 9 somehow beats the charges, it's gonna cost him big. Expensive lawyers, non-stop court dates, and the risk of going broke just trying to fight the system. He's built a name for himself and created buzz with his music, but he doesn't have a long catalog or steady hits to keep fans entertained if he ends up locked away. Right now, the smartest move for him is simple. Lawyer up, stay quiet, and stay out of any new beef. Because at this point, anything tied to the AFNF name, any shooting, post, or street move could just become more evidence stacked against him in court. If prosecutors are right and Glock 9 really is the leader they say he is, he's gonna need to tell his crew to lay low and stop the violence before things get even worse. As for what evidence the state actually has, nobody knows for sure yet. The official paperwork is still locked down in private, but what's already public doesn't look good. With everything that's been documented, Glock 9's fight to prove his innocence is going to be an uphill battle. This whole story shows how fast success can get tangled up in the streets. One minute you're on top and the next, you're fighting for your freedom. If you made it this far, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more crazy breakdowns like this one. There's way more wild stories coming, and trust, you don't want to miss what's next.